when I came back from Europe, I was smoking like rolled cigarettes, my own rolled cigarettes. I was smoking a lot too, and when I came back from Europe, I had a hard time breathing. I was like asthma almost. I still have. Honestly, whatever that was, I never had asthma in my entire life. And then when I came back from Europe, I was like, I think I have asthma.
I have asthma.
I have asthma too.
Yeah,
now I do. And so, oh, here comes my bitch. Oh, hey, babe. Okay, great job.
Thank you,
baby doll. And so then I quit smoking, but I kept dipping, and then I quit dipping, and I started chewing again. Here's the problem with me. You know, you guys are very open and honest about everything, which I think is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. There's a lot I'm dying to talk to you, not only just about the series Corporate, which is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
It really is phenomenal. Really is. I haven't seen a full episode, but I've watched 27 clips. So I feel like I've seen a full episode.
You got it.
Isn't it? It's neat though that you guys do that in a way that it's almost a tad bit of a sketch show.
Yeah.
And they are pulled out. You can pull out these scenes that are like 5 minutes long.
I think that's the secret if you come from stand up, because it's like, if you tell jokes and you understand joke structure, you're just trying to get a lot of jokes in there. And so the narrative is the way you get away with just doing kind of jokes and sketches you've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is when I was a kid, I would, if I was taking a shit, the only magazines we ever had in our house were Bazaar and Vogue. That's why my mom and my dad didn't get magazines. But he was, and I would get depressed when I see a beautiful woman in there. Mm-hmm. I'd feel like my stomach fall from, like, I'll never get that.
And this is while you're taking a shit?
And I'm like maybe 10 years old. 10 years old, I'd look at a yacht and a beautiful woman.
An insane image.
Yeah. Dude, one time I made a sandwich. I made a roast beef sandwich. This is the last story I'll tell about myself before we start talking about you. I made a roast beef sandwich, and in the middle of making the roast beef sandwich, I had to take a shit. And so I was like, oh, no, finish the sandwich, go in, take a shit. So I take the roast beef sandwich into the bathroom, start taking a shit. I'm eating the roast beef sandwich, and my dad knocks on the door. He goes, buddy, what are you doing? I said, and I have my mouth full of food, and I go, taking a shit. And he goes, what's in your mouth right now? I'm like, roast beef sandwich.
Anytime I'm like, I've eaten pizza on the toilet, and I've also like had a drink while peeing, and I'm like, that's the circle of life. Like literally, just like it's like I know exactly what's happening here. Yeah. It's just a continuous stream in, stream out kind of situation.
I once walked into a bar in the men's restroom, and there was this dude pissing and chugging a tall boy at the same time, and it just felt like I was watching an infinite loop of like what goes in must come out type of thing.
You can't do that in Utah.
You can't?
You can't bring, I got kicked out of 2 different bars for standing up with a drink. You can't stand with a drink.
What?
You can't stand with a drink. Not all over Utah, but in small cities in Utah.
Really?
Because they don't want you, like, definitely walking. In both this, once I was watching an MMA fight and I just naturally stood.
Yeah.
But I'd already walked to the bathroom with my drink, and the guy was like, hey, buddy, none of that around here.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to leave my drink at the bar.
Yeah.
And then come back and hope no one's fucked with it. Like,
yeah.
I was like, I'm taking, and so, but both instances, it was for standing and drinking. You can't stand and drink in Utah.
Whoa.
You're not allowed to, I don't know if it's still going on like this, but you're not allowed to pour a drink in front of the person. They have a thing called like Valhalla's curtain or something.
Yeah.
Not Valhalla, I'm sure, but
that sounds so mystical.
but it is something like that. It's called like Joseph's curtain or something.
Oh yeah.
And so they have like literally like a wall where like if it was a magician, they'd go back and make your drink behind it, so no one can see them making a drink. Can't order a double in Utah. By the way, I love Utah.
Sure.
But those are the weird things. Wait, where did you grow up?
Texas. I grew up in a dry county in Texas, so if you wanted liquor, you had to drive half an hour to the county line to the liquor store.
That's smart. Then you drive back home. All
Yeah,
drunk and shit. Yeah.
My wife grew up in a dry county. Our lake house was in a dry county.
Yeah.
And it's just is so arcane to think.
It's like, what are we doing? Yeah, you can't sell liquor on Sundays either.
That is fucking infuriating.
That happens a lot of places too.
A lot of places.
That's the day you should get to drink. Like, that's the only day it really should be open.
Yeah.
They should marry that to gay rights and go, listen, we want gays to be able to marry and everything, but we're also at the same time going to take away these arcane liquor laws. And everyone will be like, okay, if you put them together, they make sense.
That's very true. That's a really good point.
Wait, where did you grow up?
New York.
Where in New York?
I was born in the city, but then we moved to Westchester with all the Jews.
Only child?
No, I actually have 3 sisters.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm not So the man was beaten out of me, which was good. But no, I have two much older sisters who could be my mom. They're like old enough to be my mom. They're half sisters, and a younger sister. Because my dad is 85 years old, and he was having kids up until he was 53. So he's a wild man.
3 marriages.
Your dad's still alive?
3 failed marriages. He's still alive. He has a cane. He's horny as shit, but he can barely walk. And he's pretty deaf. But he's like good, you know what I mean? He still loves football and gets mad when his team loses and shit like that. But my mom was like 15 years younger.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, what does your dad think? Like, I know both of your parents are supportive of your careers.
Wildly supportive.
But what does your dad think about? Because I would say your take on life is very, very matter of fact. Like it's not. There's a lot of what I connected with because I didn't work corporate, but I worked at Barnes and Noble.
Yeah,
and there is
that's corporate.
That's corporate.
Yeah.
There is a sincere emptiness that you have when you do those jobs, where you just say, not only do I not matter in the big scheme of things, but I don't feel like I'm mattering in my own life. And the lowest depression I've ever had in my life was that time I worked at Barnes and Noble, and I was connected to a bunch of different things.
Right.
But I remember walking through Washington Square Park thinking, how can any of these motherfuckers smile?
Yeah, I know. It's funny.
Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate. And I know you've dealt with depression a tad bit.
Yeah.
But what's your dad say when he hears your matter-of-fact take on life?
He's extremely proud of me and literally does not relate to me at all. Like he cannot, like when he's watching the show, I don't think he understands it at all. He's just like, you're on TV and that makes you happy, right? That's crazy. Wow, you're on Seth Meyers? That's crazy. But if he looked into the content of what we were doing, he'd be like, I made a mistake. Like he would have to sort of deal with his deficiency as a parent. But I don't think he even cares. I think parents don't even, if they're not involved in the biz, and this is the biz, the entertainment biz, that they can't really understand. What you're saying is so crazy and so complex. Especially because they're just watching The Big Bang Theory, or like I remember my dad watches like 2.5 Men, and when they tell him to laugh, he laughs, you know. Yeah. And so when he'll watch my stuff, he's like, so it's kind of like bizarre, right? You know. So I don't think he even takes in what we're saying. He's just like, they're on TV. That's fucking crazy. People like it, right? That's good. Because I don't think he can look at it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I binge watched a bunch of your stuff these last 3 days, and I'm in the process of development right now, and I had a dream last night that I went in to pitch with you guys, and so just so you, and anyone listening, and I'm sure you guys know this as well. I'm not saying anything anyone doesn't know, but we are literally globally different entertainers. I mean, I am literally like the perpetuance of the party, like nonstop. Everything's going to turn out okay. And I would argue that you guys have been almost pigeonholed in the exact opposite. But I think it's the same. I think it's the same sensibility. I think it's just a different perspective.
I agree. I was actually thinking about how sort of disparate our styles are, but we probably actually see the world similarly, just a half click differently. Yeah. Because I think a large part of what comedy saying should do is a little unfair, but in my opinion, what I think it should do, or what I want to see from it, is cut through the bullshit. And so much of what I can't stand about life, and actually so much entertainment, and bad comedy, is like, here's what life is, and it's a lie. Like, just like, no, we're all happy and we're shiny and everything's good, and a man and a woman are together and they're happy forever, and then they have kids and they're all healthy. You know, that kind of, like, just this crazy insanity we're all perpetuating. Love is easy, like that kind of shit. Yeah. Whereas I think, you know, you tend to probably have more fun with life than we do. Like you definitely embrace. I think there's probably a nihilistic side to you that we share. Yeah. But we just come at it from, we're in pain and we just want to talk. We think it's funny that you're alive for a very short amount of time and you spend a lot of that in pain, and no one is really willing to talk about that in a funny way,
or desperation. You know, one of the things, I think I might be using this word wrong, one of the tenets I held in my stand-up was I never wanted to paint my daughters to be awesome. Like I didn't like, you know, Isla has legit severe learning disabilities and is dyslexic. Yeah. And so learning and being around her has always been an uphill battle. Just being a parent, parenting her has been tough.
Right.
And but she's very funny. And so I never wanted to like go like, isn't this a badass kid? Oh, because I know there are parents that are like, yep. Champ's doing great this season, isn't he? Look at him, and you're like, oh, he's gonna be a date rapist. Like, that's who that kid is. There's one kid that I fucking hate, and I know that kid because I grew up around boys like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I always wanted to be honest in my depiction of my family, like. And
yes.
I think that honesty, that vein of honesty is where we're both on the same highway.
Yeah.
I just get off a stop earlier.
Yeah.
Well, I think also, like, absolutely, just because honesty is what helps people. It just makes them feel better. It makes them just feel like, oh, I'm not so fucked up because someone else is as fucked up as I am. You know, if they're just being honest with it.
Like when you were working at Barnes & Noble and saw the show we made, maybe it might feel too dark for you at the time, but at least you could be like, well, they understand what I'm going through.
Well, no, you know what it is about dark comedy misses so often, more often than I'd say. Let me just rephrase that. Comedy in general misses so often, but dark comedy takes such big swings that in a subtle way that people are quick to blame a failed dark comedy. And you guys have managed to destroy dark comedy. Like it is, you're doing it so well. And I would argue, you know, in a lot of your short videos that you guys did before this, those were fucking done well.
Thank you.
I'm in love with this fucking guy, Bridger.
Bridger Weininger.
He is the funniest. He wrote for season 2 of our show. He's a genius.
He might.
You got to follow him on Twitter. He's one of the funniest.
I do not follow him on Instagram.
Yeah,
Instagram's a hard
Instagram is just pictures of garbage.
But it's, and then that's another thing I want to talk to in a second about is your casting is the way you guys cast is very just fucking. It makes the dark comedy great.
Well, you know, it's funny because I think one of the things, I don't want to be too pretentious here, but I think,
by the way, that's all I do.
Yeah, is I think if you're a comedian and you really like and you love comedy, it means that you have a lot of complaints about it. Because if you're too complacent about the state of something, you don't really love it because you don't see how much better it could be. And it could always be better, could always be realer, could be more interesting. And I think for us with the casting and the making of the show, I think a lot of comedy is pure silliness, and that's not bad, but it's like based in just this sort of like insanity that I've never experienced, where to me, the fact that you're alive, it's an unbelievable, statistically impossible gift that you're alive. Like literally the fact that you were the cum that made it is insane. Yeah. And you're alive and you're on this earth and there's gravity and you're animals and you're walking upright and then like you're in pain a lot and you get your one chance at life and you're in pain all the time is so funny. And so we just want to... And I think life is comedy, but it feels like a drama. So we want to treat the show like a drama that's funny.
Yeah, like Airplane.
Yeah. Airplane is essentially a drama with jokes. And no one remembers that.
Dude, Airplane's one of the best movies ever. Leslie Nielsen was a straight...
Yeah, that's right.
Everything's delivered straight.
We kind of took that... that's actually kind of where we get everything from, because if you think of Airplane as this silly comedy, it's like he is in a drama. He is literally in a drama, and so we write a drama and give very silly lines to that really intense drama, really intense music. We make it look like a drama, and then we have like Lance Reddick from The Wires talking about his penis, and it's like that's like all I want comedy to be.
I feel like when I was in college, there was a big book by Douglas Coupland called Generation X, and we all read that and was like, me and my friends, not everyone, but we were like, oh, I don't want to be one of those cubicle fattening pens. Like I don't want to work in a cubicle. Yeah. And I know that meant a lot to me, like getting out of that corporate mold. And now Gen X feels like, and I saw an interview you guys did where this girl was like, you know, as a Gen X representative and an expert in corporate or whatever, I just want to let you guys know that it's changing. And I wanted to go, your arrogance is why you'll end up in a fucking
I think we shot her down immediately.
Dude, I loved it. I loved it. And then right after that, you defended yourself by going, I say a lot of fucked up shit. Like, just so you know, I got a lot of fucking weird opinions that are coming out. I'm going to apologize a lot. I hated that girl. I hated I've never hated someone quicker. I don't like grandstanding. And I don't like, that's the part of when we talk about toxic masculinity and corporate environments and that almost talking down, I don't like the dude that I grew up with all my life that's like, bro, what's up? You see the new Beamer out there? You know, like, I hate that. And that is the same energy that millennial girl brought to it. Like, just so you know, it's that arrogance.
Right.
Well, because also it's like, I don't I feel like I'm a relatively smart human being, and I'm in my mid 30s, and I've learned a lot. I don't know shit. Like I don't know anything. Like
I know so little right now.
You know less and less and less the older you get, because every year you're like, wow, yeah, didn't know that either. Guess I know nothing. Like, and that's actually it's scary. Because now you have kids and you got to know some shit, but you really know nothing, and you know less every year, and then your brain starts to go, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, life is really just always out of my grasp.
By the way, I've always been afraid, if I don't have kids, but if I ever did, just like the questions they would ask me about basic American history that I no longer remember at all.
Dude, I've been getting into a very heated debate with my daughter about the word irony.
Oh fuck, that's tough. Don't ever ask me to define irony, please.
This is the one that she's hanging her hat on. It's ironic to see a guy that works at Ralph's shop at Gelson's. I said, I don't know if that's ironic, honey. I don't think it's ironic. I think it's just coincidence. It's like, it's just happenstance.
Oh, man.
And then I start using words like, that's hyperbole. And she's like, huh? And then we start fighting about hyperbole.
Yeah.
And my oldest daughter is she loves that little fucking, she is that millennial that stands up and goes, just so you know, we're fixing everything.
It's interesting because I'm now happy to understand that my generation doesn't know anything, just like the prior generations. We know a little more than the last generation, but essentially nothing. And the generation after us, or the generations after us, pretend they know stuff, and they're going to get to a certain age where they realize all their opinions are wildly conservative, even though they think they're wildly liberal, and that every generation will just repeat this until they die. Everyone's just going to be like, oh shit, I knew nothing. I hope I just get to take care of my family.
Yeah, you maybe move the needle forward slightly.
Yeah, but barely.
Dude, one of the things I had when I first saw that David Hogg kid from Parkland, you remember that kid?
So intense looking.
Yeah, he was.
Oh
right?
my God.
Him and Ben Shapiro look like brothers.
Yeah,
and so
that's so true.
He when I first heard him talking, I didn't realize that the alt-right was going to come down and try to assassinate this kid's character.
Yeah.
I just got really offended that his dad let him have opinions out loud.
It was pretty wild that like people in our community were like retweeting him. I'm like, the dude doesn't have pubes. Like, what are we talking about
He's a kid.
here? Yeah, it's
my dad would never let me have an opinion at that age.
Yeah.
At that age, if I decided to talk on the news, my dad would be like, no.
Yeah.
Sit the fuck down. Who the fuck do you think you are? And I was like, what's his dad do? Like, I want to know more about his dad. Because having, my dad and your dad's older than my dad, but those type of men that had to like, they came birthed out of a different humility, if that makes sense.
Yes.
How old's your dad?
63.
Okay, your dad's pretty young.
Yeah.
Got it. Ellen DeGeneres is 60.
And he looks great. He looks just like Ellen.
What is your dad, like a Texan?
No, he grew up in Iowa. He's like
Same.
Yeah, it is basically.
Yeah.
He's like a nice, good Midwest man. Like a quiet, won't tell you about his emotions, cried at my sister's wedding, which made me bawl.
Oh.
That's what I've learned, is seeing my dad even get a little teary-eyed. I break down emotionally and can't function for a few days after that.
Oh, this is a good game. Let's talk about times we've seen our dads cry.
Oh.
The only time I saw my dad even cry a little bit, and it was just the beginning of it, was when I was leaving for college. It was like the night before I was going to go take a plane to college, and he just was like, I'm going to miss you. And then he like wouldn't let me see the tear, but he left out of the room before I could actually see the tear. But that's the only time, and I was like, oh, I didn't know I meant that much to you. Oh, I'm everything to you. Oh, right, that thing.
He had to say, as I always say, when old men cry, they got to say racial slurs to make it better. You guinea wop, you. You Mick red-headed drunk Irishman.
They're all Tony Soprano, basically.
My dad, I've seen my dad cry a lot lately.
My dad's cried more as he's gotten older.
Really? What do you think? What do you attribute that to?
I think just... because he's like, my dad's a really like good, sweet guy, but like, yeah, like kind of a quiet, reserved dude. But as he's gotten older, I think it's like fucking, you see life happening. It's like, oh shit, my kids are getting older, and like my mom died, and it's like just things. The reasons you weren't crying when you were a kid don't make sense to you anymore, I think.
How often do you cry?
A lot, I'd say, for the average man. Mm-hmm. I cry really easily. I think ever since I had kids, I cry really easily at movies. Movies just trigger me. Anything. We were talking about this at the very beginning, but like Pretty in Pink, when the cars move away. Dun, 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 dun. Me? Yeah, you. Oh my! I mean, I got the vapors right there.
Yeah.
The time traveler's wife, man. Oh fuck! I can't even tell people about it, and I'll cry.
It is. I was so happy when I started just crying involuntarily more as I got older, because it's like I know that that's good. I know that men should cry more. I know that that's like, obviously women are crying constantly, and that's just like a biological difference, but clearly they have more agency to do it, and they're allowed to do it. But I want to. Every time I do, I'm like, it's like coming. It's just like, oh, thank God that's
good.
out of there. Like, I'm not going to fucking do anything terrible if I do it.
I'm crying a lot lately because, so a year ago, my little sister got married, and as a gift to her, I had somebody shoot the wedding, and now I'm editing it, and it's taken me a fucking year because I have slacked off for a fucking year, and I'm finally finishing it. But that is like a bomb of tears. It's like my dad tearing up, bringing her down the aisle, him giving a speech and tearing up. So I'm editing this video just crying at my computer all day. It feels insane.
Dude, I never cried up until I was like 20, maybe 29. And I think I was raised that way where you don't cry.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you're not allowed to cry. You're a man. It's really fucked up that there's all the stuff that's happening with blaming men right now, and there's a lot that we are very guilty of. I think a lot of it was so out of our control, so wildly out of our control. When I was watching 16 Candles last night, Anthony Michael Hall rapes that girl.
Oh, I
totally raped her.
just rewatched that movie, and that was
he
insane.
raped her. He raped her.
Yeah.
He says, did we have sex last night? She's like, I think so. And he's like, was I good? And she goes, I think so. It's like, oh, no, that's rape. That's fucking totally rape.
Yeah.
That's how we were raised as children. Like, yo, if the girl's drunk, fuck around with her. By the way, luckily, that never happened to me. Like, luckily, I was one of those guys where I've only had sex with 6 chicks, so that I was so emotionally needy that if she was too drunk, I'm like, I'm not getting what I need.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me, I think, because I was raised with sisters, is I always flipped it into that, that's not to say that I never got fucked up and party with chicks, but it's just I was never predatory about women. My hardest thing in the world was kissing a girl.
Yeah.
Like that first kiss.
Oh, it's so hard.
It's terrifying because you're just in your head. You're like, but what if she doesn't want to? What if I'm bad? Well, she couldn't possibly want to kiss me. Wait, should I? How do I do it? Do I ask her? Do I?
There were girls that thought I was gay. I took so long to kiss them. Like literally.
That was most of my life. That was my whole life. And then you kiss them. They're like, you kiss them and like, I thought you were gay. Like, why are you kissing? I mean, I'm fine with it, but I assumed. Yeah.
My first kiss happened while watching, I think, Harold and Kumar, and my first. And I lost my virginity while watching the movie Hocus Pocus.
I heard that. Yeah. Wait. Was that in where did I hear that?
Well, we put it in the show.
You put it in the show,
but it's a real story.
We're Brett Midler's.
Yeah.
My buddy lost his virginity. This is my favorite song anyone's ever lost their virginity to. My buddy Pete lost his virginity at the end of October. And he was in a car, and they were starting to fool around. And right when they started to have sex, the songs changed, and it turned into "It Was the Mash." It was the Monster Mash.
Oh,
what a horrible song to lose your virginity.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say "Who Let the Dogs Out."
My song was "Colors." I wasn't listening to it during sex; it was silent. But after sex, it was "Colors," and that's why I got in the car, and that was the first song playing, and that is my virginity song.
A nice silent virginity.
It was so quick we didn't have time to hit play. Even if we hit play, it would have been over by the time the song started playing. God, I look back at that and go, that one night fucked me up with women so bad.
Why? What happened?
It just was very traumatic. It wasn't. I thought it was. Everything was set up to be like. And there's a part of me that was like, really is that guy that, I guess it's like a hopeless romantic where Pretty in Pink and Dirty Dancing and all these movies really, or Sweet 16 Candles, not Pretty in Pink. And then if I said rape at Pretty in Pink, that's the different one. I meant 16 Candles.
No, you said 16 Candles.
But like, I really want I want things to be perfect. I might be being a little bit of a perfectionist too. Mm-hmm. And when I first had sex, I just fucked up everything. I mean, it was like really like just a comedy of tragedies, just of comedy of errors. I didn't know how to put the condom on because I'd never had a condom before. So like I unrolled it all the way, and like she's like naked on the bed, and I'm in the corner. I unroll it all the way, and then I'm like, okay, like, because in my head I was like, my mom rolls my socks up. All right, like, okay, so, and then I grab it at the base and I go to slide it over, but as I push down, like it doesn't go on like a sock because it inflates, and now it's inflated, and I'm like, wait, this can't be right. This like so I'm trying to squeeze the air out of it, and it looks like I'm just making balloon animals. I'm not even. I know this sounds like a bit, so then I throw that condom away. I go back out. I go to my buddy Jeff. I go, I need another condom. He's like, that was quick. I was like, long story. I need another condom. So I go back in, and this time things make sense. Pinch reservoir tip. Okay, yeah. I roll down. As I rolled it down, I went, that felt good. And so, and then I got on top of her and literally had one pump, pulled back, and it was over. It was over, and I was like, that was really quick. And then she said to me, are you going to put it in? And I looked down, and my dick's between her butt cheek and the bed. I didn't even fuck her. And I was I was like, I didn't even lose my virginity yet. Like, oh, fuck. And so then I had to start all over with a compromised condom. I had lost my virginity, and all I'm thinking is I'm getting her pregnant. Like I'm splashing. It's like if someone said, "You want to go on a hike?" and you're like, "Yeah," and then you walk from the parking lot to the head of the trail, but it's still an aggressive walk for you. And then when you get to the head of the trail, they're like, "All right, you ready to start hiking?" And you're like, "What? I already jumped in a river." Fuck.
I had a friend in college who he was going to lose his virginity, and it was similar. The woman was on the bed, so he went into the bathroom to like put on the condom, and he started essentially fluffing himself with his hand, so getting himself ready, and then he got so excited by jerking himself off that he came, and he was not able to have sex, so he lost his virginity at another date because he just ended up jerking off completely.
Dude, that should be a just horror stories of people who,
yes,
I don't
because
know,
they're all
over a
horror
campfire.
stories.
yeah, all of them are. No one, I would defy someone to be like, no, it was perfect. Like my wife, I think, said hers was perfect.
It was 12 minutes long, and we both came. It's like never.
Dude, the next time I had sex that time. I had it one more time with the same girl, and it was just as bad, equally as bad. And then I had it again with that same girl my senior year, or my junior year, maybe my junior year. No, my senior year. And then I got a girlfriend. And I was like, and it was just as bad. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not gonna have sex again. I'm not good at this, and I'm not. And I'm like, and I want to be with someone I trust and that I can talk to about it. Like I want all the things that I heard sex should be. And so I dated this girl my whole senior year, never had sex with her. By the way, she was also younger than me. She was like 16, I was 18. So not that, by the way, being honest, not that ever registered in anyone's mind back then.
Oh yeah.
Like you definitely seniors dated freshmen. That was not an issue.
Yeah.
Now it's definitely an issue, I'm sure. But, and then I went to college and I had sex with this chick that I ended up dating for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, I listened to Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Oh, nice. That's classic.
Dude.
Did you have a lava lamp?
I know, but I had some fluorescent posters in my dorm room.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny.
Birkenstocks off to the side.
The thing about sex, another thing about being raised as a man is like they tell you like you got to go out there and fuck a million people, and they don't really talk about the fact that you're sensitive and might be traumatized easily, and that you should really like calm down. It's not really about numbers. You should just like feel comfortable. It's hard to stay erect. Like if you're an emotional person at all and you're not a sociopath, like staying hard is not easy. In fact, this just makes me think, in porn, people are always talking shit about the women in porn for being fucked up. And that's really unfair because the men in porn are really fucked up, because if you can get hard at the drop of a fucking hat in front of a crew of 40 people, you're a sociopath. And like no one ever talks about that. Like the idea that getting hard for me is a very emotional, it's like I got to really be in the zone. I got to trust the person.
Getting hard.
Yeah, it's like you can get hard like that. It's like get hard. Come on them right now. It's like that is a crazy person.
Yeah.
That is a disconnected human being who's like, I need to come now.
Yeah, what are they thinking of? It's not a good thing. Like there's no way that it's healthy.
Have you ever seen like gone to a taping of a porn?
No, I have not.
I don't think I have. I'm trying to think if I have. I've kind of. I was a dominatrix gimp for a day.
Yeah.
But I remember one time this girl, I had a TV show, it was Gary Valentine. Gary Valentine is Kevin James's brother.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I just say that for the people listening.
Yeah.
But Gary Valentine was there, and my buddy Weecho was coming to town. And this girl was this porn star, and she's like, hey, I'm working this weekend if you want to come watch me work. And I was like, oh, yeah. I go, listen, my buddy Weecho's coming in town. Do you mind if I bring a friend? She's like, yeah, that's fine. And then Gary Valentine and Kevin James walk down the hall. I go, hey guys, we're going to the set of a porn. Do you guys want to come? And she just goes, hey, I'm getting fucked up making a sweater, okay? I was like, oh yeah, sorry. And so we ended up not going. Yeah. But I feel a connect with strippers, like as a comic.
Oh yeah,
because like there is a vacantness to you when you have to work where I think the average person thinks, like a stripper's like, I can't wait to get naked and dry hump, but she's like, I'm just trying to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And I think we're like that a tad bit, where we're like, I'm just getting up there and getting...
Yeah.
You forget that like a stripper probably had an awkward conversation with her mom 2 hours before she was on. It's like what she's thinking about right before she starts doing that. It's the same thing with comedy where it's like sometimes you're just in a weird mood and then you have to 5 minutes before you get on stage like click in so that you don't go up and say weird things and bum the audience out,
Oh, I've said the weirdest
shit too. Yeah.
Dude, I've made audiences so uncomfortable before.
Yeah.
Especially when I was young, where you just are like, oh, this'll vibe them. And my thing was, I'm such a nice guy that whenever I spit venom,
Me too.
They are like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I did a show at the West Side Comedy Theater once, and I was up like second to last or something. The whole show, every comic that went on and came out was like, there's this fucking drunk woman in the front row. She's ruining it the whole show. Like, she's heckling constantly. And so I was like, in my mind, I was like, fuck this. I'm like not going to take any shit from her. I went out there. Within 10 seconds of setting up my first joke, she like blurts something out. And I like leaned down. I was like, shut the fuck up. Everyone hates you. and nobody liked that. The whole lot. I was expecting the audience, I think, to be like on my side. Nobody was on my side, and I spent the rest of the set apologizing and just like making it weird.
It's also tough when it's terrible. Like if it's a female heckler, I find it way more difficult because with men, I feel like they don't like that you're on stage and they're not. Like I think they feel emasculated. Yeah. So I always try to emasculate them to the fullest, and it gets weird. Like there was a time for a year straight where every male heckler I said, I'm going to come on your face. I just said, I'm going to come all over your face and then I'm going to fucking lick it off just to emasculate you. And they were like, what? Like the audience was like, I don't understand what this is psychologically, but in my mind, this was doing a lot. And it's like, no one liked me.
But early in comedy, you're bad at dealing with hecklers, I guess is the point.
Yeah.
Dude, I told a girl one time, God made your mouth for one thing and it's not talking. And fucking the crowd was like, whoa, easy, Bert.
Yeah.
She's a human also.
Yeah. You forget that people are humans very quickly.
I've swung the total exact opposite end of the pendulum. I said something very innocuous to this couple who's a white dude and an Asian chick. Very innocuous about him meeting her family. Like just going, have you guys met each other? Met each other's family? And he got fucking really pissed. And I don't remember exactly how it went down. I'm sure I'm shading it in my direction, but like the premise was that sometimes Asian parents are racist against their daughters dating white dudes, and he was like, how dare you, and he got really upset, and everyone's like, light him up, Bert, and I was like, no, and this is where I probably to a fault, but I go, no. I want to hear his opinion. Yeah. And I want to listen to him. And I said, sir, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that's what you thought I was doing. It's not what I was doing. Yeah. And I apologized. And he was like, and then they just got up and left like 10 minutes later. Sure. And I was like, and then I talked shit about him. But I don't have, it's the thing. I don't know if I keep wanting to say, I don't know if one of you said it. But I don't mind outrage. I don't mind political correctness. Like people think, I don't know where I heard this. I heard someone say this somewhere. I don't mind political correctness because it brought about a lot of really great things.
Yeah. And also like I just feel like, okay, so someone's being politically correct. I'm glad I know that about the audience. Yeah. Like it's just to me it's like, oh, I'm taking like this is what people are thinking now. It's my job as a comedian to understand what people are thinking and choose to go against that or work within that. Any new boundary is just makes you work harder, and I think that's good.
Yeah, it takes the laziness out of it. Like I remember when You know, this is really funny, but like I apologize because I can't say the F word because I confuse people. But when I first moved to New York, you couldn't say faggot on stage. Like, I'm being serious. And I know that people say they did, but you could not because we were in the Village and it was a very gay community. You just couldn't say that. So no one said it. No one made fun of gay people in New York when I first started. And I understand that people are thinking, come on, Bert, in the 90s, I'm being serious. You couldn't just be like, you know, what's up with these faggot? Like, people would be like, whoa. It sounded like the M word in the Village. Yeah. Now, on the road, you could definitely say it. But so I remember the first time I went on stage and I said the word fag and everyone was like, hey. And then I was like, and then I got out of the room and I looked at the room and I went, oh wow. I was like 26 years old. I'm like, okay. I was like, wow, I guess that word's kind of out of my vernacular. And it just changed because I went from Florida State where it was the word you said, your term of endearment for all your you said that so much at Florida State. That then I went to New York. I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, it's that growth where you go, that's just the change. And now it came to the place where it's like, you know, I mean, I think it's swinging a little hard right now. It's like, if you ever said it, how dare you? And you're like, okay, come on, let's just admit that the world was really different 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so I always think people brand friendly. They go, "Oh, Bert, you got to stand up for free speech." I stand up for free speech 100%, 100%. I'll die for free speech, but free speech should also grow.
Well, you also just should consider other people.
That's it.
It's also just weak to say that you're a victim if you're like, I can't say what I should be legally allowed to say. It's like, you're allowed to say it. You just said it. You're not going to jail. Yeah. Like everything. That's all free speech is protecting. You're not going to jail. That's what free speech is.
Apparently, they legit. I mean, by the way, and I don't know what I'm saying because I don't know anything. But apparently, they legit don't have free speech in the UK.
Well, and also China. Like, just so many places, they'll put you in jail for speaking freely. You can say whatever the fuck you want here. And also, I just think, like, if someone's going to be like, you can't say that, and you get upset, you're weak. You're, like, weaker than they are, for sure.
And part of the beauty of what we do is to take what you can't say and frame it in a way that you can say it and have people laugh at it and then go, that's the art form.
Absolutely. And if you're super funny, you can say whatever the fuck you want. Dude, are you kidding me?
The hardest I've ever laughed is at Louis C.K. Defining the N-word to Patrice O'Neal. Have you ever heard that?
Is that on like Opie and Anthony?
You've never heard that?
No. I mean, I've heard the N-word bit from Louis on stage.
No. It is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. Without a doubt, the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. And it was not masked. It was not shrouded in any kind of PC. Yeah. It was it was Patrice defining a Jewish slur to Louis, who is Jewish, and tell them how they came up with that Jewish slur, and then Louis telling Patrice how they came up with the M word. It is the
well, I think like
I fucking pulled my car over laughing, and I was like, "This is." And by the way, just to be fair, this was like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
but I was doubled over.
I think the difference with that too, and I mean that was on the radio, so it was obviously for public consumption, is just that they both essentially like not to use that word, but consented to, or they're both know each other.
They're friends.
Yeah. So
they're
like
friends, and the people listening are fans.
So that's the difference between like versus just like if Louis did that would not do that to a random black. It was punching up because Patrice had said the slur that Louis is to him. And so it was fair. It's the nuance of comedy. It's like you can't just go out if he went out and goes, "You want to know how they came up with the N-word?" And everyone would be like, "Easy, where the fuck's this coming from?" Yeah. But yeah, did in your circles in stand up is everyone still super super anti Louis? Yes.
Yeah.
Very. Crazy. Though I'm a little divorced from the stand up circle now because I'm sort of half at the Comedy Store, half in the quote unquote alt scene in LA. So I don't know exactly. I don't know how people feel publicly versus how they feel privately, if that makes sense. I don't know how people, a lot of times in comedy, especially social media, I feel like there's posturing and it's like, wait, are you actually upset or are you just saying this because you feel you should? I never really know. And honestly, it always is strange kind of who actually gets upset about stuff.
It's interesting to me because a lot of my friends, a lot of the female comics are still very anti-Louis. Mm-hmm. And I think what it is, I'll use Lisa Traeger as like an example.
Mm-hmm.
Super funny comedian.
Super funny.
Unbelievably
super fun
funny.
to hang out with. I fucking love her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been very vocal against Louis. And I think a lot of it is just, I don't know if it's, and I can't put words in her mouth, but she'll be on the podcast. She can talk about it then. But it's not as much of the sexual thing as it is the power dynamic that's in this business, where as a woman you can't say no. As a woman you're put in this bad situation. Because she said, and I'm paraphrasing, she said if he had asked her to do that in front of her, she would have been like, fuck yeah. But she's going to defend the women that didn't have an opportunity to say yes or no.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's weird in this business, is where you hear things that are coming out about the Me Too. It's the power dynamic.
Well, that is like, it's very important because, like, I mean, we've now run a show, so like now having been in positions of power on a show, the thought of somebody taking advantage of that is pretty horrific.
Yeah.
So like,
can you imagine coming to work?
Yeah.
Well, dude, it's
and
also
going, fuck, here we go. I'm in the fucking pen. They're coming at me now.
Well, it's also just like kind of what Matt was saying. It's like we have now had the exact job that Louis had when he did that stuff. And it is obviously way sort of cooler to be like, give him a break or whatever. But we hired friends for those jobs under us.
Yeah.
And if we like asked one of our friends who was like the writer's pay to come in and be like, can we jerk off in front of you? We should get fired and we shouldn't have that job again, because if you don't we literally understand what that job is and how unfair it is to put someone in that position. And an incredible comedian, but you can't do that to people.
You can't do that to people.
You
can't even like, because you can't even hitting on someone.
Right.
I think they should make it illegal to sleep with anyone in the workplace. I think that should be across the board illegal. Not like just fireable, but it should be a misdemeanor as well, because it just saying it's okay with one couple makes it okay for the guy to try with anyone. And
right.
I've had a lot of jobs. I've never dated. Well, I take that back. I've dated people I worked with. On my first job, I dated everyone. I literally went through and dated my producer, my co-star.
Yeah.
That was it. Just those two. But it's just so dirty.
We have an episode about it this season where we call it the proximity crush. It's like
that's fucking brilliant.
People so often end up dating and marrying people they work with because they're the one who's there.
Yeah, they're
it's
just
like,
literally
dude. That is fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
and you have so much to talk about at dinner.
Yes,
because you just talk about work.
Because you just complain about work. So you
and they understand what you're suffering through. That's all that love is. It's just you understand the suffering of each other.
So that's like the problem is like you fucking relate hard to people you work with, but you should slice off your genitals the moment you walk into the office.
And it's tough because that's the whole thing about being human, is that nobody wants to admit that we're just animals. Like nobody, like so much of humanity, so much of religion is just like, we're not animals. We're actually the chosen people and we'll be exalted to heaven if we're good and don't act like animals. And it's like, no, we're fucking animals. I have hair in my asshole. Like we're fucking like absolutely animals.
I have hair in my asshole.
Yeah, it's no beautiful being has hair all up in their ass. You know what I mean? And I do. So the thing is, we're walking upright, our backs suck. We like sit at these desks and we get scoliosis and back pain, and like we're just these humans.
Sitting's the new smoking.
Yeah. And it's just like you just want to fuck what you see, and it's not that interesting, and you have to pretend you're like this person in a suit. And that's kind of what the show's about. It's like all this pretend bullshit where it's like we're just in pain and animals that are alive for like a minute.
Yeah.
Proximity crush. That is so.
Yeah.
I've fallen victim of that. I've never, ever since I've been married, I've obviously never dated anyone I worked with, but there are times where you develop a crush.
Yeah.
And it's a mutual. I've had mutual crushes on girls I worked with that I probably had a crush on me, but we were both married, and you just become like such best friends.
Yeah.
Our director and co-creator Pat Bishop, used to go to the same coffee shop every morning, and this episode started when we were admitting to each other that we each had a little crush on the barista.
Yeah.
But then we were like, no, we don't. We just we see her every day. Like
She gives you a drug every day.
Yeah, she gives me my morning drugs, and and now I'm falling in love with her for no reason other than that.
Yeah.
What we should probably talk more about the show a little bit, but so what?
Wait, you were going to tell us that you had a dream where you pitched a show with us last night.
So I went into the room. We were at Netflix. Robbie was there, and you guys walked in, and Robbie's like, "I got to tell you, I love what you guys are doing." And by the way, what we're pitching is I would say connected to where you guys are. Meaning, it's not it's about me, obviously, but it's darker. But it's not like 2.5 Men. Mm-hmm. And Robbie was like, I love what you guys are doing. You're like, oh, thanks. And like, so what are you guys thinking? And they're like, Bert's a detective and he's addicted to heroin and he works down by the docks and it's just all about this like infiltrating the scene down there, but it's like dirty and grimy, like kind of like what's the drinking writer's name? Charles Bukowski.
Oh yeah.
And Robbie's like, I'm in. Are you in? And he looked at me and I didn't speak up for myself. I didn't advocate. I went, I like it if you like it.
So in the dream, you were in there to pitch a different show.
Very different show.
We came in, told him
you.
that you're a detective addicted to heroin.
And I was like, I'm in if you're in. And he was like, cool. And I was like, awesome. And then we walked out and I was like, what just happened? And you guys were like, we just sold 10 episodes. And I was like, oh, cool.
To be completely honest, I would watch that show.
Yeah,
I want to
wanna
see
make
you
that show.
down by the docks.
All my dreams after that were episodes of trying to solve mysteries. And if you give me a second, I could go through, because you know, when I'll have a dream, I'll remember one part and then I gotta kind of whittle.
Yes.
One part, I can tell you one part was these bikers. We had motorcycles, and when we first met them, they were really aggro with me because I brought a bunch of my college friends.
Yeah.
And my college friends were like saying like fratty stuff, and they're like, "You're not really bikers. You're not really bikers." So then I had to leave them and then prove that I was a biker. And so I bought a green button-up shirt and I buttoned it at the top and had like a flap rim hat. And then they're like, "That's more what we're talking about." And I was like, "Yeah, full episode right there."
That's the perfect storyline.
My daughter was stuck in a tree, and I was hitting golf balls.
And you're on heroin.
At your daughter?
No, but I was so fucking mad at her because this is so her. Is she kept climbing higher, and I'm like, stop! You're gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
She's like, Dad, we're gonna be fine. And I had to get her down, and I was literally dropping her on branches. It was I could probably sit through, lay in bed, and figure out all these dreams.
Yeah,
because I dream pretty intensely, especially when I drink. Like, I dream really intensely.
I quit smoking weed about 1.5 years ago because I just smoked so much every day. But when I quit, the first 2 months after that, the dreams were so vivid. I don't know if anyone has ever done that. When you quit weed, you dream so vividly that it would wake me up like 5 times a night because I was just like it's the most. I don't know what happens, but I guess smoking weed blocks your dreams a little bit or something like that.
I don't know. I dream like ridiculously.
You had a big brain.
Well, I don't know if it's a big brain. I stopped taking Xanax. I'd have no dreams on Xanax.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, my cardiologist told me it melts your brain.
Oh
and
really?
I was like, yeah, and I wasn't taking a lot of it, but I would have taken it last night, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, I was firing hot.
Well, thank God you didn't. So now we know about the heroin detective show that we're gonna go sell to Netflix right now.
What if you see on Deadline in 2 months that we sold that show? We'd have to have a conversation.
I'd be like, hey, can you get me a part in it? I just want a little part. So what was so? Walk me through a timeline of the two of you, if you could, of you guys getting out here, what you were shooting, that process, and then to selling corporate.
I went to college in Austin and moved out here.
Where is that? The college?
UT Austin, yeah.
Yeah.
And then moved out here after that and started doing stand-up and met Jake doing open mics around LA. Like, fucking anywhere that would have us. I mean, when we were starting, we did
Silver Lake Lounge,
like a lot of East Side or downtown, like Casey's Bar and is it Casey's Bar and Grill downtown?
Irish Bar, or
yeah,
something
downtown.
like that. Just a lot of like sort of.
And then what was it? Westwood Brew Co.
Yeah,
I did a show there.
Yeah,
who does Cash?
Let's see.
Cash, fucking, he does T.J. Miller's
podcast.
yeah, Hartzell.
No, anyway, yeah, he had a show down.
I know
there.
who you're talking about. Yeah,
I did a show down there one night.
Yeah. So just fucking anywhere, and it's when you're doing open mic starting, it's brutal and it's like war, and it's like, and you're bad at it. That's a funny thing about stand-up is
and you're paying like sometimes $5 to tell
to
jokes
do 3 minutes of
people who hate
material,
you.
and none of them are good yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cash Levy.
Yeah.
He used to run a show down there.
Okay, yeah. So, and it just sucks because it's also you're like when your first couple years of stand-up, like the other comics too, like not even in a shitty way, but like don't necessarily even want you to be there because now you're a threat to them essentially.
Yeah.
So anyway, the people you meet that you bond with and like share a sensibility with are like your fucking army buddies essentially.
Yeah, and
it's your freshman class.
And we all came out here. Both of us came out here, and we have a few friends who are in the same boat where we did want to do stand up, but we also just love movies. Love movies. You know what I mean?
I saw that in an article. You guys talked about what your favorite movies were, and how they influenced. It was a Tribeca interview, I think, and how they influenced what you guys make now. Mm-hmm. And I thought that's so funny. I never really looked at it that way because my favorite movies growing up were always like Fletch or Caddyshack, or they're always lighthearted comedies,
right?
And it's what I connect to.
Yes,
I find fun in that, and you guys found more darker movies were what turned you on.
I don't even know what it is. It's like comedy is the vessel essentially, but like what I love seeing in theaters are like David Fincher, Paul Thomas Anderson, like really dark, brutal dramas. I like to be in a dark room and watch brutal dramas, but the thing that we can do is comedy. But there's no reason why a comedy can't be like a film. I guess we're just attracted to filmmaking, and it was a simultaneous thing with stand up. We were doing stand up, but then we were doing stand up like basically 5 to 7 nights a week, eating shit, and then on the weekends we'd wake up and make sketches because that is the thing now. It's like we were coming about right when the internet was really becoming the way that you got everything.
Dude, I was in the pool the other day thinking, if I was 10 years younger, what would my career look like? Because I don't know if I ever would have gotten in television. Right. I just would have made my own show. I really like making my own stuff now.
Yeah.
And so I go, but I was the generation where camera technology changed right after my first TV show. And so I got an opportunity to host very easily made television because no one knew how to use this stuff yet. So, so I could host and do pilots of hosting for like probably like 5 years before the technology got to us, where it was like, now you can make it.
Yeah.
And that is the true joy of like being alive in comedy now is you actually have way more control. Dude, and it's like
so much.
And what you should be doing, and even if you just want to do stand up, which you should diversify, but if you just want to do stand up, learn how to edit, learn how to shoot and edit, and just put stuff on YouTube. Like take control of the internet. That is the best gift you've ever gotten. And we were coming about right when this was happening, so we knew how to make our own shit, and we could control the process. We could make people come to us by making good internet videos, being on Twitter and all that stuff too, and being funny there. But by doing stand up, pounding the pavement there, and then literally making sketches, our goal was to make TV shows and movies. Like obviously stand up is wonderful, but and you do it, which you're like a very rare person who can like tour the world and have a successful like fan base.
That's rare,
but that is so rare.
Yeah,
that's super rare.
Yeah.
It really is. Yes,
and a lot of people who do it are famous from TV. Like the more hacky, like the people who aren't as good as you, they get a TV show, and the people are like, I want to see that famous person, and I'm in Iowa. Whereas you've done it more from stand up, but like we just always wanted to make TV shows and movies, and hopefully that'll help us with stand up. But we just were making sketches, doing stand up, and eventually enough people saw us that where we could pitch shows. You know what I mean? We made like hundreds of videos.
Yeah.
And doing stand up thousands of
20
times.
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. That every weekend we were doing that, and every night we were doing stand up, and that was just like a constant thing, and you just had to like keep believing you'd get a chance to make a TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was probably 28, 29, I went out and I had money, so I bought it was called a GL2, Canon GL2.
I had a GL2.
And it was like $1,200.
Yep.
A lot of fucking money. I remember. And I got a mic system, and I went out and I shot 2 shorts. One was they were both my buddy Croy. By the way, my buddy Croy was in all the TV shows that I did with you guys. Yeah. Here's the connective tissue, and why I had a dream about you guys last night is that when I was young, I 29, I started making shorts, and I was like, I'm just bored. I'm not doing anything. The internet wasn't around yet. I mean, it was around, but YouTube was. I don't even think YouTube was there yet. And I started making shorts, and we made 2 shorts. One was about my buddy Croy was at a diner with all our friends, and he told a story about how I tried to kiss him the night before. And so we showed it in flashback, me trying to kiss him, and him getting weird. And then I show up at the diner, and everyone's like, "Ugh," gets up and leaves. And I'm with Croy, and I go, "What's wrong with them?" He's like, "I told him you tried to kiss me last night." And I go, "Why would you say that? I didn't do that." And he goes, "I just thought it would be a fun way to get them the fuck out of here." And it was just. And then the other one was about us all taking acid and going to the beach, and our buddy thought he was a dolphin, and so we had him out in the beach pretending to be a dolphin, and we were just talking about the type of women we wanted to marry. And I showed him my video to Bertcast, and he literally said, "What are we supposed to do with these?" And I went, "I don't know." And he goes, "Why would you waste your time?" And I was like,
wow.
But that's where the business was.
It was just different, yeah.
And so I looked at what you guys did, and I watched a lot of your videos together, some of your independent ones, and I was like, this is what I would have done.
We're lucky to have come about. I mean, it's just a matter of luck of when you're born, essentially.
It really is. I'm lucky to be. I think I'm lucky to be in my 40s now, when Netflix is taking off, and I think you really find your voice as a comedian
after
in your
40.
After 40. Definitely after 40. I'm really lucky to have done all that, been able to hit television when it was popular and then declining, and then hop on. It's all about your age. And you guys are, I mean, you're making videos where I go, this is beautifully shot.
Thanks.
Beautifully edited. It's color corrected. I mean, like, I'm looking at it going, this is not a bullshit short.
Well, I think that was part of what helped us get a show, is that the stuff that we were making was like near professional quality, so they trusted us to like.
It's the same. I have so many questions about lighting, because the lighting in corporate is it's so intense.
Well, we hired a French cinematographer.
Yeah, he's real French. His name is Christophe.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for real?
His name is Christophe Lanzenberg.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is, comedy is treated in a certain way, and it's very flat lighting most of the time, as if the lighting doesn't matter. And I don't want to be too pretentious, but to be pretentious, like, there's no reason why comedy shouldn't look good. You're still filming it and watching it. It'll hit even harder and be even funnier if it looks great. Yeah. Because it's kind of like Pat Bishop, who's the other co-creator of this. He once explained it like, we dress people up in these incredible suits. It looks unbelievably expensive. It looks like a drama, like on like TNT. It looks like real, or HBO. And then the fact you're doing all of that just to tell a dick joke is the joke, essentially. Yeah. But it really works. And I think that, like, if you just, you should always, if you love movies or whatever you love to do, you should try to do that. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people are just like, oh, it doesn't matter. But if you really want to do something, like, make it look good, you can do that.
It's one of the things I think everyone listening should try. Like, you're talking about editing your sister's wedding video. I shot a short very, very quickly for my daughter's Girl Scout troop. Yeah. But I'd done enough editing and everything. It's really amazing to shoot something, to shoot a movie, to shoot like a scene. Yeah. By the way, the hardest thing that I have to compliment you guys on, the hardest thing in the world, is to take something that's funny on paper or funny in your head, put it on paper, and then make it funny visually. Yeah. Like, make someone laugh. That is, no one has any idea. That is because almost impossible.
Because you come up with it, like the stuff that ends up in the show, we came up with months or maybe even a year earlier, like on drugs, laughing our ass off, and then a year later, we've hired 100 people crew,
spent $1 million,
and it's like, okay, now put that costume on and sit there, and while everyone's watching, be funny in the exact way you were a year ago on drugs. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's really tricky. It's hard because the circumstances are so different.
So then walk me through maybe one of my favorite ones I've seen that you guys did was when the bald guy has you guys come over to move his clock.
Oh yeah. That was I was weeping while filming that scene because it was so funny.
Yeah. So those of you who don't know, you can find it on YouTube, but one of your supervisors,
his name is Adam Lustig and his character's name is John.
By the way, you guys, one of the interesting things is you guys always have your own names in everything you shoot.
I know.
We're
just
so lazy. It's a mistake.
It's truly like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Name of the game. Who gives a shit?
But he has you guys come over. You guys are his below him, underlings. Has you come over to move a grandfather clock. It's not even a grandfather clock. It's a granddaddy clock.
No, it's like
What is it?
grandfather. It's like, wait, is it a grandfather? It's not necessarily a man. It's not a woman. Let's just have it be.
Let's not gender the clock.
Let's not gender the clock.
Yeah.
And so, but
He
it's
asks
a
us
really-
like on the weekend. He's like on Friday. He's like, "Would you guys do me a favor? Come help me move some things at my apartment."
Yeah, because part of the show is like your job, if you don't have a job you like, ruins your entire life, even the weekend.
So how did talk to me about what you had on paper? Talk to me about the high idea, what you put on paper, and then the shooting of it, what you added into it.
That's actually, it's a good one for that because we, I think on paper, all we had was that we move it and he like coaches us through it essentially.
Well, yeah,
right?
we basically the high idea was that it's insane to ask someone to drive to your house in a weekend to move a grandfather clock, especially if it's just literally down the hall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we thought we were gonna have to move it like to a whole location. So he just basically he's lonely. That's the subtext, and he wants us to move his grandfather clock literally just across his room, which is crazy. So we had it. We thought that was theoretically funny. We move it to the center of the room. He doesn't like it. We move it back. That was literally the joke. But then when we moved it to the center of the room, Adam Lustig, who's a brilliant improviser, just started making stuff up about
Fucking brilliant.
hold on, like I'm not sure if that's
He's like,
the
let
right
me make
place for the
sure
clock.
if I like
Start
this.
doing some
So
scenarios.
that's him.
that was him.
Okay, that's fucking. By the way,
Yeah.
and it's so funny to watch you two. He's like, so what was the first? You're not sure what you want to eat. And
He wants to see it in context. So he's like, I want to make sure I like it here. So he's like, let's just pretend we're at a dinner party, okay? And you
Are a vegetarian.
You're a vegetarian, and you just ate the last veggie like roll or something like that, and now go.
Yeah.
And then he just started like creating
and
improv.
you guys are playing it so dry.
Yeah.
And that you're not like it's so funny.
Yeah.
And then he has you move it back. So that's improv, and then he has you move it back. That's part of what you had come up with.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
think, part of what you do when you write a script is why it's important to write like a very well written script and not just say like we'll make it up on the day, is because you need to have the bones there so that when you get that, you're like, okay, if this works on paper, we at least have that, but it gives you this freedom to, once you get it, to improvise and maybe beat it. But if you don't have like the bones of the script there that's written out in joke form and like the idea there, you won't necessarily have the freedom to go nuts once you get that.
So was taking your shoes off in the script or in the moment?
That was in the script.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taking your shoes off was the invite to dinner in the script or in
That was in the script.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but there was some stuff at the dinner that was improvised, and it's basically like you should be a rigorous writer when you're shooting something because what you're writing affects 30 different departments.
Yeah.
There's props, there's costumes, there's so many different things. Like when you write a comedy script, even though it seems silly, there are so many professional adults that have to take your words serious to a T, and they have to show up on that day, and they better have exactly what you want right when you want it.
Now, how much of that did you guys know going into creating corporate and doing what you did? How much did you know? You're like, oh fuck, this is a lot
We
bigger.
knew some, but like when you're making your own stuff, like you're acting in it and you're the PA and you're the props guy. Like, so it was just scaled up in a huge way. I remember when we wrote the pilot, you do this thing called a production meeting where all of the department heads, like 30 people, come and sit around a table and you read through the script just so that like the electrician knows what he needs to do on day 5 of the shoot, and like what when it says like we need a dildo in this scene, the props guy can be like, what color dildo do we want?
How much curvature to the dildo.
But what's funny is like when you're doing that, because everyone has to, it's a comedy script, but everyone has to like take it so seriously, nobody laughs for like 3 hours reading through
and
this.
like your script that's full of jokes is like, wow, I guess it's not funny.
Yeah, you get into a heated debate about dildos and like what color they need to be, and it's just like it's surreal. Yeah.
So you guys shoot a bunch of stuff, and I have questions about some of the stuff you shot.
Yeah.
I was so grateful you guys were coming in, because I was like, okay, in the party one, where the voice
Oh, that's Matt's. That's Matt's thing.
yeah.
You're in it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in it, but it was Matt directed.
Aparna is in it.
Yeah.
And
No, Aparna's not in that one.
Oh no. Little
Esther.
Esther's in it.
Pavitsky's in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Esther's in it.
Yeah.
By the way, I should just call her Esther, I guess now. She's like legit working.
Well, it's like that moment when like Lil Bow Wow becomes Bow Wow.
Yeah.
You know, when
Yeah.
does the rapper lose the Lil?
I was watching it and I was like, this is so interesting. Where did that? And not to get away from your TV show,
No,
but I have
please.
questions about that.
Yeah.
The high one, the
Yes.
dancing one. I like have real questions about those. But like, what was the seed? Like when you go, the idea
Yeah.
behind that was
So the premise of that short is that these people show up to a party and there's this like speaker up in the corner of the room that tells them what to do in the party. So it's like, try the olives on the table. Like, talk to the person next to you about what they did last night. And it came from just going to a million parties around LA, and some of them being fun and some of them being so stilted and weird, where it felt like somebody was like, now ask them what their plans are for the holidays. Now ask them how they feel about their wife or whatever.
yeah.
And so it just came from like wanting to exaggerate the feeling I had at parties, which is like, I feel like I'm reading a script right now when I'm talking to people sometimes. Like bad small talk,
Well, yeah, and
essentially.
also LA is just so few people. Most people are afraid to be individuals, and so they're just like, what are you working on right now? Oh yeah, where are you repped? What's your favorite restaurant? And it's just boring.
By the way, Bert, you are not that guy.
Yeah, you are the complete opposite.
We
of that.
showed up at your house and you started. What was the first thing you said to us?
I don't know.
You don't even know. It's like you are an explosion of weird ideas and quirky. Yeah, you're a beautiful person.
Oh, thank you. I wrote a short when I was your age called Belt Buckles.
Yeah.
Belt buckles were really big. That was like a really big movement in LA. It's like everyone had a cool belt buckle. And it was the same thing of being young, going to parties, and the conversations you'd hear were just so asinine. But I was wondering if before you shot it, if you realized like what a weird, like the way this country's moving, and it feels like it's moving a little bit towards Fahrenheit 357, or I hope that's
451, I think.
Fahrenheit 451,
one of those big numbers.
and Big Brother, and like that voice that like now ask them, almost like it took on a different level for me, because I was like, oh, this is a weird reflection of society and how everyone's uniform, and I don't know. Anyway,
it's called What a Nice Party, and you can watch it.
And we actually have an episode about Fahrenheit 451 and Big Brother 1984 this year on Corporate. We actually because we're obsessed with just the idea of like the paranoia and the growing homogeneity of everything, and just like that. It's all funny.
Yeah, it's. Have your characters gotten into CrossFit yet?
Not yet,
Season
but
3,
that's
hopefully.
actually a good idea.
Yeah.
By the way, well, I started. One of the questions I wanted to ask you and was, how do you dance the line? Because I think the majority of your fans are probably people that are coexisting in the exact same world you're kind of representing, mocking to a point, but you're punching up. Your characters aren't pieces of shit. It's everyone around you. It's the structure. It's the man.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, how do you ride that line of making sure, like, when you get talked about craft brews,
Right.
and I was like, by the way, that's a tough one, because there's a lot of guys that are like, their lives are defined by craft brews.
And by the way, I like craft brew.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I think one way you can get away with not punching down or whatever is
That's a shitty thing to even say, punching up or punching down.
But no, I get what you're saying. But how I think it's because when we're coming up with episode ideas, Matt's into craft brew, right? So he's genuinely into it, so we can make fun of it. Because we can make fun of it because he understands why it's good. So now we can mock it mercilessly, because he can always be like, wait, but I love craft brew. That's why I want to make fun of it. You roast what you love. And so I think that's just what it is. If you genuinely are a thing, or you like, I love cats because I'm fucking weird, and I'm mentally ill, so we can make fun of those people constantly, because I get how mentally ill I am.
I think too, it's like for the people who have this type of job, what we try to always keep in mind in the show is that each character is a product of this system that they're in. So like individually, all the characters, even if they're a horrible person in the show, are probably fine, but they've been working in a nightmare like corporate system for their whole life, and so they've been corrupted. And so it's like having learning to have like a self-awareness about who you are and what you're taking part in is, I think, part of the show too. But it's hard to walk the line because we like making dark jokes.
Yeah, and it is you know, it's like I do that a lot with like when I talk about things I like I have a joke about guns now, and you're like, I hope that both sides are getting this.
Yeah,
you know, because you don't want to just be that person that's like, these are my politics, this is how I believe. You want everyone to go like, oh, that's great, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, we try to just like not pander and present original ideas that even if you find them confrontational, that's part of it, or it can be interesting to have that. If you watch something on our show and you're like, this offends me or something, it's like, I don't know, think about it. It's I don't know.
Yeah, we're not trying to offend at all.
Yeah. I don't think you are at all.
Yeah.
What really bothered me about the press, listening to you guys do press, was people not. It's almost like they didn't watch the show.
Yeah, because people
like,
are always,
because I go, the show's first and foremost, the show's fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
like it's beautifully shot. It's beautifully written. It's really great. And it felt like it was all coming from this one angle of the way people saw it, and I was like, oh no, it's the same lane of what I do.
Yeah.
It's just you're just going one stop further.
Well, I think that people, when they see dark comedy, all they're seeing is like, they're like, it's dark. It's like, that's not really fair.
Yeah.
Because it's really funny.
Yeah.
So it's kind of light. We're talking about things that theoretically a lot of people won't talk about, but we're making it light. So we're actually turning darkness into light. Therefore, it's the lightest thing you could really do.
It's like Fight Club if it was a comedy.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
I think that's just a part of like when you put something out there, the press creates a narrative about it that you have to engage with in some way.
And you can't change it. My narrative started. I just hopped on it and I was like, all right, yeah, that's who I am.
Isn't that a weird thing when you do get into entertainment and you realize, oh, the media does make stars. The media decides who's famous. It's all the media.
One thing you do and you can't control it, and whatever that one thing is, often it's the thing you don't want represented by you.
100%.
And you just go, okay, I guess I'll just ride this
I
one
do
out.
need to pay for my house, so I'll take it.
I have 2 kids that, okay.
It's really bizarre. Like, the media absolutely does control it. It's so crazy.
So not to get a little inside baseball, but like, did you guys pitch to Comedy Central first? Did they come to you and go, what do you guys have?
Yeah, I had written this because I was trying to, at the time, like I was doing stand-up and also writing like pilots to either get staffed, or if you work in the entertainment, or if you're a comedian, sometimes you'll write a pilot to try to get staffed on a TV show. So I had done that. I had written this pilot that never was going to get made, but it was called Marry, Fuck, Kill, and the premise of it... That's
what's wrong with this business.
Yeah.
I already want to see that. If you said there's a new show called Marry, Fuck, Kill, I'm like, dude, there's a website where they have Marry, Fuck. I love Marry, Fuck, Kill. Keep going. I'm in.
The premise...
I'll deficit fund this fucking thing.
The premise was that it was like this guy played Marry, Fuck, Kill with his girlfriend, and he decided to marry... It was Gwyneth Paltrow, Brad Pitt, and Guy Fieri. And he decided to marry Gwyneth Paltrow, fuck Brad Pitt, and kill Guy Fieri. Yeah. Then they accidentally drove off a cliff, and he woke up in a reality where he's married to Gwyneth Paltrow, cheating on her with Brad Pitt, and trying to murder Guy Fieri.
By the way, it's pronounced Fieri. Keep going.
Sorry.
That's what a bro I am. I fucking love Guy Fieri. Keep going.
By the way, he is great.
He's fucking awesome. Have you? I know him. Like, he is who he is.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one thing I love about people, is when there's no separation between church and state.
Yeah.
When you meet them on their TV show, Guy Fieri said to me, he goes, bro, next time you're in fucking Northern California.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah, keep going.
So anyway, I wrote that. Comedy Central really liked it, so I had a meeting with them. And Jake and I and Pat, in the meantime, had been developing the idea for corporate, and they wanted to hear the pitch, so we went in and pitched it.
And then they said, great, we like it. Let's write it? Or did they go, let's just make it?
They had us write it. So
they say, let's put it on our Snapchat, see how it performs.
Luckily, it was just before Snapchat was everything.
Yeah.
So they said they gave us very little money, being like, all right, well, we'll give them a little bit of money. I doubt this will be anything. But then we cared so much and we worked so hard on it. And they were like, oh, this is actually good.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got to shoot the pilot, it was like, well, we'll shoot the pilot, but it'll never become a TV show because who the fuck does that happen to?
Yeah.
And then we shot a really good fucking pilot because we hired the right people, and like Pat is an amazing director, and like it was written well. And then it was like, oh, we have a TV show. Like, oh, we're the stars of a TV show now. What the?
Well, we had
fuck?
initially pitched it too as like a sketch show. We were like, the initial pitch was like Portlandia, but set inside of a corporation. So it was like we were gonna just follow like various characters, and Jake and I were just gonna be two of the characters in there. But they asked us after we pitched it to have Jake and I be the leads of it and to make it a narrative show. So then we ended up like reconfiguring it.
It was crazy.
I like it like that, but there is still elements of sketch.
That's right.
Like,
yeah.
like I think your show, good segments stand alone as well as.
Yeah,
I think
you can feel that in there that was the genesis of it.
Yeah, and so when you shot the pilot, and then they said let's do 10 of them.
10, yeah.
That's
it was insane.
Where were you when you got the phone call of let's do 10?
Well,
and who found out first?
I think we were at the house where we shot What a Nice Party, right?
Yeah, Jake and I were roommates for years, and I've heard Jake come too many times.
I've heard Matt come not enough.
through
with other people, not just by yourself.
No.
Oh God! Oh God!
Well, both. The walls were thin. But we shot so many things in this house, and I think we're in the living room. When Jake heard about the pilot, though, he was Jake.
Yeah. I had a spinal fusion surgery about 4 years ago. I don't know if you know what spinal fusion is, but it is the worst fucking thing ever.
Don't tell me about it.
Well, basically, if you have nerve pain, even if it's in your leg or your arms, it's actually coming from your spine. Most people don't even know that. I did not know that, and I had this horrible leg problem, and I was like literally in constant pain for months and months and months, and I was like ready to have my leg amputated. And I was, when it happened, I was in so much pain. It's so shocking.
I was being slip disc.
You have a herniated disc. It's a hernia essentially. Yeah. I was being wheeled into the emergency room by my girlfriend at the time, and my manager kept fucking calling me over and over again. I was ignoring it, and I finally answered. I was like, "What?" She's like, "We sold the pitch to Comedy Central." I was like, "I don't fucking care." You know what I mean? I'm dying right now. Yeah. And so then while that was being negotiated, I like had several surgeries. I had they removed a little bit of my spine to see if it would work. It didn't. Then
it's a fucking surgery where they go through your stomach.
They go through the stomach and the back.
Do you have a scar on your stomach?
I do, and the back.
See it?
Yeah, it's right. It's actually, it's like close to.
Oh, that's not that bad. That's not that bad at all.
And then, well, then it's here as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's like it's crazy. So they go through.
You got to tramp stamp that.
Yeah,
shit.
They go through the belly and the back, and it's pretty weird. And they remove some of your vertebrae and then put in sort of cadaver bone and rods and everything. So I don't know. There's like 1% of me that's another person, and I wish that I wish
that guy.
I wish I knew if it was a man or a woman or like a politician or a homeless person. But I have no idea. And so then you have to recover from that. The bone has to then.
It's probably not a politician,
but it would be great if it were. It'd be great if it were. It'd be great if it were.
Nixon's backbone is.
And that bone has to sort of. Has to like mold into your bone, and then as we were recovering, we wrote the pilot. So that was like a crazy, crazy time.
Jake was like on opioids, pitching jokes from the couch.
On my back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a crazy time.
And so then where were you guys when you found out it was sold to 10 episodes?
Actually, I think on that couch.
Yeah, on
where
this
I was
disgusting couch. When Jake and I lived together, he has 2 cats, and they just decimated this one couch.
Yeah, just so much cat hair. But the thing is, when you get the call, I didn't really, I wanted that moment of like, we did it. But I kind of just didn't. It didn't register to me. It was like,
it's too
wait,
surreal,
are you serious? Like, we're going to make a TV show? It's like, oh, okay. And then when you talk to other people, like you call your mom and your dad, you're like, by the way, we're making a show. They're like, are you fucking kidding? That's unbelievable. Like, I guess that is unbelievable. You just been working on it for like a year. So it's kind of not.
You're like shell shocked.
You're shell shocked. You're like, wait, what? I came here to do this. Why is it working out?
Yeah.
It just feels like it can't happen to you, yet we know, like, it happens to a lot of people. It's the business. They need us.
It's the fun part of the business. That's what I like about the business. It's a little bit of a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
And
it is, yeah.
You just one day you're like, oh, I got nothing going on, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I got everything going on.
Yeah, that is this business is very difficult. But it is cool that you could literally in 10 minutes think of an idea that could then be 3 years of your life and like pay for a lot of stuff. There is always the hope of that.
Isn't that funny?
It is so it's just an idea that was in your head. You're like,
I like it with stand up is that like I have my favorite joke right now that I've ever written. and it's not even written. It's because it's a story. It happened. But I keep thinking to myself, one day it wasn't there, and then one day it's there.
Yeah,
it's magic.
I'm like obsessed with.
It's funny too, because like when you don't have it, you can go through periods where you're like, I guess I'll never write a good joke again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just that feeling of like, I haven't written a new joke in 3 weeks and maybe I'll never write one again. And then the next day you think of a joke that you tell for years after that.
It's the craziest part of this business.
It's also why we all go crazy, because it's like you're just like, where's it going to come from? Where's the joke going to come from? Do I have to go fuck shit up just to like just to have a story?
I get obsessed with looking at Dirty Dancing going, they're all dead.
I know.
They're all dead. Like like it's just like that. I get that gets, one of the things I really did connect with the darkness of your show is that I do see misery in life a lot. Maybe I don't share it as much, but like I do see when I get to my low place, I can say to my therapist, it's the futility of life of like, there's so this is it. And then we all just die, huh?
You just die.
That's it. And like that woman one day she was pretty, like I look at like, I was watching 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. And I was like, and they had this beautiful girl topless dancing at the cowboy bar, and I go and say, she's probably dead right now, huh?
Yeah.
She's old as fuck. Like she was that, and now people walk past her in a grocery store and go, ugh.
It's funny because like I think that sort of when you are opened up to that truth, it's very sad and there's a lot of misery, but the best it can do is sort of just calm you down and just like
free you up a little bit.
Because it's like nothing's that big a deal. If someone is being confrontational, you can just be like, listen, this is not going to matter in a few days. I should just chill out.
I've been watching a lot of road rage videos. And
I've had my YouTube.
Road rage videos.
I love those.
Instant karmas are the best. Where you're like,
I love those.
Yeah, where the guy cuts off and then all of a sudden,
yep.
But they fuck up your DNA for a day. So all you do is see confrontation everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're like, so where's my fucking road rage moment?
Yeah.
What's the plan? Like, what's the plan? You guys are young Hollywood. What's the plan? To make a movie? Do you guys want to do this until the wheels come off? Will you guys end this early and be like, that is all creatively we felt we could fill? Or will you do that? Or will you just be like,
I think that if we're lucky enough to get to keep making more seasons of it, we'll end it when we feel like it should end.
Yeah, you shouldn't do
if we're lucky.
And will you end it with a fucking office shooting?
Well, actually, that was one of the first ideas we ever had. Really? But it's like way too dark, I think, for Viacom to put out. But that's so our sense of humor.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can just tell this sketch that we wanted to do.
We had an idea that we ended up not doing because it didn't feel like the world needed more stuff about mass shootings, because that's every day in the news right now. But we had an idea of like a guy showing up, like you're hearing his manifesto, and he's like loading his gun and coming into the office like really pumped up to do this, and he gets in the elevator and looks over, and the guy next to him also has a gun. And he's like, wait, are you gonna wait? I was gonna
let's just both go home.
Yeah.
I think I watch a lot of sports, and I am pretty obsessed with people retiring before they suck. Like, I don't like what Brett Favre did. I'm like really obsessed with people not coming back and like trying to just overstay their welcome. So I think
so the opposite. I will Brett Favre my career. I'll be 60 taking my shirt off. Hold on, I get stuck on my hearing aids.
I think if you have an idea that you like, I think if you are like, listen, we've done it, you should have the confidence to be like, I'm going to end it and try to do something else. Now, that's very scary because it's paying your rent and more. But I think the idea is like, I want to make a lot of things. I want to make TV shows. I want to make movies. But I really just, you get to a certain point in comedy where you're trying so hard to get a career that all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have a career. All this is just, I just want to work. I'm just trying to work and have a decent life having fun. And it's having fun is a lot of work. And the idea is like, I'll do whatever. If you can have any sort of creative control for as long as possible in this business, you're the luckiest person alive. You have your own podcast and you can like pretty much have a pretty good career off that. That's a dream. It's a lot of work, but it's a dream. If it's a podcast, if it's a movie, it's a TV show, I just want to have agency and have fun getting paid to do comedy because there's no better job.
No better job.
Yeah.
I feel like being given any opportunity to make anything, meaning someone else's money.
Yeah.
It's such a luxury.
Oh my God.
Because I'm in the place now where I go, I want less control. I want less people to control me.
Yeah.
So I just want to like do my own shit. I think a lot of that too, and not to piggyback onto like, it's hard to walk away from a paycheck, but I think the most inspirational place you can be in this business is a little bit of broke, a little bit of like starting over, a little bit of refinding yourself from that place. I know that every time I've had a big growth, it's always been fired from Travel Channel, tour canceled, so, the things like that where you just go, fuck, like you sit there like not to gender this, but sit there like a man and go, what the fuck am I gonna do?
It's a blessing in disguise. In whether it is or not like any sort of hardship or like something gets canceled, you have to look at it as a blessing in disguise because it forces you to be creative, and you are creative, which is why you do this thing. And there are many reasons why life becomes about the money, because we live in a capitalist nightmare, and you have kids and you have a house and everything. But it's kind of so freeing when you're just like, I have to do my job and figure out what's next. That's beautiful. That's kind of, you should never stop doing that. But of course you stop doing that because life gets in the way. But if this show's over, then we got to create a new one, and we got to be even better than the first time. And that will be hard and scary, but it's like, but what more do I actually want out of life?
Yeah, but would you guys do a movie? I feel like that would be the natural progression for you two.
Yeah, we would love to do a movie.
We would love to.
Really? Do you have your ideas?
We'll get some ideas.
Yeah, that's what we're spending our time now, is just like trying to write the next thing and see what happens. But yeah, it's like kind of crazy to think of like, in your head you sort of mythologize like a TV show, and then you really mythologize a movie, and you're like, anyone who makes a TV show can make a movie, and you just have to believe you can. That's a big part of it, is just believing you can do these things.
But going back to what you were saying, it's like the only thing what we've learned from all this, and we're very lucky to be in charge of this show, is that it almost doesn't matter what you're doing. If you are lucky enough to be your own boss, that's the main thing. You can have a theoretically really cool job making craft brew, but if your boss is a fucking nightmare, it sucks to make craft brew. It's like,
that is if we button it on this, that is the irony of what you guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that you guys are making a show about corporate, but you are the corporate,
and we're working for.
You are the.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking great. Well, I genuinely appreciate you guys coming in and doing this.
Thanks for having us.
And it's an open invite. If you guys ever want to promote anything, please just hit me up. I'll make sure we all have each other's numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks,
and just
Bert.
text me, and even if you don't have time, but you're like, hey, can you just mention the show or something?
That's so kind. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
means a lot, and thank you for having us on. We really appreciate it.
No, dude, this is I think this business has changed very different from when I started. When I started, people my age would look at you guys and go, "What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
When was my turn?"
Right.
But I think now this business has changed in the place where people like myself go like, "How fucking cool! That's inspiring." Like all I thought about right now, is like, hey, why am I not just shooting? Why don't I just shoot a scene that I want to shoot?
Yeah. Because
I have all the equipment. I know how to do it. I can edit it. And I'll just use my family. I was like, why don't I just shoot a scene? The only problem is I want to do multicam. That's the other part, is that you guys pitched single cam, and I was like, I really want to do multicam.
But
you would be good at multicam.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you'd kill it. But in general, I think what people need to realize is that anything that happens is just something that someone thought of, and then they decided to go do it.
Yeah,
it's like literally you can create a video that gets seen 1 million times. Right now, if you just go and shoot it and edit it, it's like you just have to go do it, and that's who does it.
That's the number one thing I think people say to me, like, your Instagram videos are so funny. How do you do them? The only thing about me ever shooting anything that I've ever put up is I start with putting the camera out without an idea, and I go, all right, let's do it here. And then you look at it and you're like, you know what would be funnier? And then you just got to start. You got to hit record.
Yeah, you have to be willing to fail a bit.
That's the best possible thing. Is just fail 1 million times and don't be scared of it.
Yeah, most of like comedy and writing and anything is editing out the bad stuff. It's like you got to just like do it until it's good, or keep doing. Like, yeah, you start making a video and eventually it's good, but you don't put out the first few drafts of that video.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna tell you the movie pitch that I have for me and Tom Segura. That I haven't pitched to Tom yet, but I think is absolutely fucking genius.
Yeah.
And then everyone should go Everyone should go watch Corporate.
January 15th on Comedy Central.
10:30 p.m.
January 15th. That's when this will air. It's January 15th already. Oh my gosh. My tour's been so successful. Thank you everyone so much for seeing me in Seattle, Vancouver, and Calgary. This week I'm in I just interviewed Lisa Traeger today.
Speak of the devil.
I don't know when that'll be airing, but I'll be at Danforth. Where's that? In Toronto. And then this weekend, I'm in Ottawa, and then I'm in Indianapolis and St. Louis. Ooh, and I'm staying on the road. I'll be living on my tour bus until I get to Albany.
Damn.
Fuck,
You have a pretty cool life you made for yourself.
Dude, I'm telling you, what's really crazy about this is that in watching your interviews and watching the press you do for the show, I am the exact opposite in that I've never been happier in my entire life. I've been saying that to a lot of people.
Yeah.
This is the happiest I've ever been, and I think it's because I have more control of my life.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm doing just the things I want to do, and it's nice to go like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? We have this idea that that it's already greenlit. Do you want to do it? And then going, no, I want to work on this next special. I'm gonna really focus for a full calendar year on this next special, and I want it to be the best that I've ever done, and then I'm gonna put stand up on a back burner and work on other projects. But for 1 year, I'm just gonna to not worry about money, to know that you can pay your bills, and go. I'm just gonna work on this creative thing. That my podcast. If I could let go of a little bit of the control, I'm a little bit of a control freak.
Sure.
If I could let go of that a tad bit, that would make me a lot happier.
But you being a control freak is probably what makes it work to some extent.
I think so. I'm a little bit of a micromanager. I'm tough to work with and for, just because I don't know. We're trying to figure all this out.
But you know what? You're also doing great, and the fact that you have control, and you're happy, that's all that really fucking matters. It's great.
Yeah,
dude. Congratulations on all your success, gentlemen.
You too, man.
To the next time we podcast.
Definitely.
Hey, next time, do you guys you drink?
I do.
Matt does.
You don't drink? God, that's a good call for you.
I know. Well, yeah, exactly. It's just because I know what would happen if I did.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.